What's up, guys? I'm Nell.
And I'm KJ.
And we're the hosts of Millennial Talk. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Talk. We are here once again with our co-hosts, Courtney and KJ. What are we talking about today?
So, today, we are talking about Theybies.
Yes, you heard it right. Theybies.
What is that? Like, what is that? Like, what?
Theybies are... So, basically, there was an interview on Fox 5, and I don't really know the woman's name or the guy's name who was interviewing, but if you guys just type in Theybies, you're going to see the video. It's one of the first videos that comes up. But basically, this woman was explaining to him that babies should be called Theybies, and they shouldn't be given a gender at birth because they haven't had a chance to choose it for themselves. So her and her team apparently got together and came up, or I'm not sure if this was scientific or whatever, but basically they said that babies should have up until they're 4 years old to choose their gender. 4 years old.
What's the ethnicity?
They should have up until.
What is it?
The ethnicity of the person that.
Oh, that's.
I just wanna.
It don't matter. Stop. But yeah, so yeah, they should have up until 4 years old and to choose their gender. And crazy enough, I don't want to say crazy enough because there are a few that actually agree with this. Interestingly enough, there are a lot of people who actually agree with this because they believe that you should not tell a boy baby, even though he has a penile functional area, that he should wear blue and should play with certain types of toys because he is a boy, and you should not buy him boy clothes because you think that he's a boy. You should wait for him to let you know that he is a boy at 4 years old. And also, this is the same woman who said that your babies also have to give you permission to change them because otherwise it is you're invading their personal space, and that you are you can be seen as sexual harassment to the child.
I love this.
So they say even if if the baby is pooping in their diaper, you must ask the baby, "Can I change your diaper?"
Can't you just stop talking for a second? No.
Because unless your baby gives you consent, how they give you consent, she said, they give you consent by a look or a nod, and you get the feeling of consent. Even though I'm pretty sure consent is, a yes or no type thing, saying yes, I give consent, no, I don't give consent. But she said they have to give consent. She goes, if they're crying or you're trying to change their diaper, that is, the baby's not giving you consent to change their diaper. My mom always told me that maybe it's because they want their diaper changed, they don't want the boo-boo on them, or something around those lines. But yeah, this is all coming from the same woman.
Where did you say this interview happened?
On Fox News.
So it was here, in America.
Yeah.
Only in America would this even be a topic. Only Americans would even discuss something like this.
I'm afraid
the rest of the world is looking at this like, what the actual...
I'm really afraid to talk because I don't know what might come out of my mouth.
Filter your thoughts.
I'm trying to, let y'all go first.
Wait.
I got thoughts.
I need to go back to something very specific that you just said. You said, and maybe this was a misquote. I don't want to assume that you were quoting her directly. But you said that she said consent would be if they give you a look this is a misquote. Or you feel like they consented.
Yeah, she said
Could
that.
you imagine if that was the standard for consent as an adult?
It's just like,
you felt like I consent.
Because the guy was saying, the guy who was interviewing her, he said, how can a baby give you consent if they can't talk yet and all they can do is goo gaga and cry?
All they can do is cry.
And then she was saying, I think from what I remember, because I watched this a while ago, but she was saying you would know when they give you consent. And it was just no, you wouldn't know when they give you consent. You wouldn't. So,
But let's say
She's reaching.
Let's say hypothetically, you knew when a baby gave you consent, right? Let's just pretend
that's the
like
thing.
there's some kind of code where we know that like this is the consent.
It's like Google
What
got
if a child, or I'm not even saying child, what if a baby, infant, toddler, whatever, somebody that's wearing Pampers, Huggies, whatever, what if they don't want to be changed and they don't give you consent? Imagine like, what's it called,
rashes.
Boss Baby or whatever? Imagine him
It
being
would
like,
smell
no,
so bad.
don't change me.
Smells so bad.
All the types of infections and rashes
Right.
that baby's gonna have.
It's like they don't know anything about the rashes that they can get and things like that. So even if they say
There are some
"Do not
kids who
change
like
me,"
enjoy it, like it's fun and like they
Yeah.
move around.
Oh,
on
yeah,
it.
they little dance.
Yeah, like they like it.
Ooh,
That, just because they like it doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Yes.
Or safe or sanitary.
But you gotta make sure they give you consent.
No.
Or you can't do it.
No.
Oh my god.
No, let's go back on the baby thing
I
real
wish we
quick
could
though.
like post a video in this video, but because
Well,
you
we
guys
can.
like I'm afraid that you guys won't think this is real, but
No,
it's
no,
so
no,
real,
wait.
y'all.
We'll
Like,
link something
No,
down
we
below so
don't
you
do
can
that.
read or
We'll
see.
link it.
We'll do it.
because like when I was watching the interview, I was waiting for it to be a joke and for like it'd be like some type of all right guys, let's cut the camera, but like she was so serious, and the guy was
Are you
like,
sure this was like this wasn't like The Onion, was it?
No, it
No,
was
it was real.
It was a Fox interview. I saw that.
and the lady when she was talking about like she was so serious, and
She's
the guy
passionate.
was kind of like how we were. He was like, wait, so you're telling me that a baby has to give you consent before you change the diaper? She goes, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And then he was just like waiting for her face.
Did she have kids?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's what I need
such
to
a good
know.
question.
I need to
don't
know.
I was trying to find.
I need to
her
know if she
name,
has
and
kids.
I was like searching her up, but I couldn't find her
Her
name.
kids
anywhere.
probably got all types of rashes and eczema and
Woody's
cirrhosis.
Woody's got all types of
psoriasis.
pimples
I'm
on
about
it
to
and
say
everything.
eczema is real,
like,
bro.
Boils.
It hurts.
Ew, I haven't heard that word in a while. Boils.
Yeah, they got all types of
And
stuff.
then this whole situation with Theybies of like, how can you? Like,
I just don't understand why 4 is the age. Because I'm pretty sure when I was 4, I didn't grasp the concept of like
this is a boy. This
girls
is a girl.
versus boys.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
And whether or not what I want it to be. You know what I mean?
This is the difference between the two, and I choose this one because this is how I feel.
I feel like I don't care. I'm all for
I'm not that- I was
breaking
not
down
that
gender
intellectual as a
stereotypes.
4-year-old.
Yeah, but I'm like all for breaking down gender stereotypes. Whatever, you can do whatever you want. Because I was a tomboy when I was younger, and I used to play with boy stuff or whatever. But I knew I was a girl. And if they get older and they decide that's what they're not for them, and they can talk and they can decide and make actual decisions, that's fine. But you're a little kid. You can barely talk. I'm not gonna say, oh, you're not a boy, but you have a thing. And then you're a girl and you have girl parts. Like, no,
So-
you're a girl, you're a boy.
From her standpoint, not that I'm defending it, but she was saying, you see how you were just saying like you don't know because you're a child. She was saying we're taking like the children's rights from them, but not letting them choose for themselves. Not even just like their gender, but like choose everything, like the type of food that they want. As a baby, it's just like, what if they don't want that type of food?
But they don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know what's healthy for them. They don't know. Like, a child, like my brother, for example, this dummy, when he was 2 years old,
This dummy.
climbed
You see how
up.
you talking? You used to talk about you. This dummy.
He climbed up on, like, you know, like the little child gate things.
Uh-huh.
Climbed up on that and fell. It fell, and his arm was under, and he broke his arm.
Oh,
I'm sure if my mom was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, sweetie, play on
he
that."
would keep doing it.
Yeah, but like obviously she wasn't in the room when it happened, so she didn't
Yeah.
know that was gonna happen. I don't think anybody was in the room. I don't know where we were. I don't know.
He's
Maybe,
child.
yeah, he was bad.
Oh,
but
Lord D.
just imagine if she had like allowed him to do that on a regular basis. It would have happened a long time before it actually
CPS
did.
would have been called real fast.
Yeah, it only happened when it did because it was an accident. But
Yeah.
if she had let him do that, he'd broke all of his arms.
Yeah.
He'd been
My
walking
thing
around
to
like
go
that.
like go back off of what she
He's
said.
still
Like
keeping
I
his
don't want to
pants, too.
say that.
Had a whole rash.
Right.
Can't with you guys, but I don't want to say that like I'm taking it from them because I like, for example, I always say when I have kids, I like gender neutral names and I like like the Spencers and the like I forgot the other
Taylors.
Taylors and Jordans and all those stuff. Like I love that and like for example, I say if I ever have a girl, I don't want her to wear nothing pink because I hate that color. So like literally, I was like, don't buy her nothing pink. And my friends like, no, we're gonna buy her stuff, and I'm like, I will literally throw that stuff in the trash. So like, it's like I'm giving you options and taking some away.
I think it's one thing to make your child like gender neutral, and the things that you are doing or giving them, like giving them a action figure and a doll.
Yeah.
But allowing them to make decisions when they don't even understand how the world works doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how can you make a decision with no, like, that's like making an educated guess with no education. Like,
yes.
you can't do that.
It's just a guess.
Yeah.
If they make it too early, then they might regret it. Like, they make it too early, they're like, oh yeah, I want to be a girl. But then 2 seconds from then, you're like, oh, actually, I want to be a boy.
As a parent, it's just like at 4 years old, you say, I think my son wants to be a girl. So you go out and buy all this girl stuff, and he grows up with all this stuff, but then he doesn't actually want to be a girl. He goes to school wearing girl stuff, and he's just like, how come all the other boys or people who look like me really wearing guy stuff? And like, how come they're dating girls, and like, I'm supposed to date a guy, but like, I'm supposed to date a girl. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's so confusing. But it's just like, it may get to a point to where they get confused on who they are because
you let them make a decision too soon.
Yeah, and it's like, you may think that they are like, that they chose already, but they didn't.
And that causes psychological issues.
I think I might have talked about this on a podcast before, I don't remember. But it is similar to like why I think the age is 12, but why they recommend being 12 before you get baptized. Because if you're not old enough to understand why you're getting baptized, and you might get baptized, and then later you decide you want to be like Muslim or Hindu or something like that. So it's like you need to understand this ceremony or this ritual or this whatever what you want to call it. You need to understand what it is that you're going through before you can make the decision to go through with it. Yeah. So allowing a 4-year-old to make a decision that is going to affect the rest of their life, literally, is dumb. Just straight up dumb.
Like, using the example of like getting baptized, like even then, like
as a 12-year-old, you might still change your mind.
Yeah, because I'm saying like even. So
then, this is worse because now you're 4.
Exactly, because I'm thinking like even then your parents are making that decision for you.
Yeah.
It's just like when people have kids, they say I want my kids to grow up Catholic. I want my kids to grow up Christian. So it's kind of like the parents are already making that decision for them. It's not because they're trying to like. I don't think parents are trying to make that decision because they want to be like, I want to control their life. It's because they're trying to give their child some type of direction. Yeah, they want to give them some type of direction on the right path. Whether that be like, I want my son to be a Christian, but when he grows up, he may want to be Muslim. That's not like...
You got to give them something to start with, and then they can make their decision from that.
Exactly.
But to just let them make a decision with no type of information. Like, imagine trying to explain to a 4-year-old, like, the difference between a girl and a boy, and like what girls do and what boys do. And then in this world where we're living in, where there's all this gender neutrality, how do you even explain what girls do versus what guys do? Because I am a very big fan of like Tana, for example, who was always like F gender stereotypes. I totally agree with that whole movement. Because it's like, you can't tell me that girls do this. Because there are guys that do it too. And there are some girls that don't do that. And same thing with guys. Like, you can't tell me that guys play sports or whatever. Because girls play sports too. And there are plenty of guys who don't play sports and are not athletic. Yeah. So how do you even begin to explain that to someone that is 4 years old and has no experience in life to be able to understand what it is that you're explaining?
Then you're calling them it for such a long period of time. Like, it's an it. It's an it.
That's what she was saying. She said that's what they call them Theybies because they're a they until they choose.
Yeah, whether they he or she.
One thing that I really love that Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith did with their children, they parent their children like so much differently than many parents in the world. They had an interview where they're talking about how they parent their kids. They pretty much give their kids like free reign to do whatever they want. But Will Smith said as soon as they do something that has a consequence, or that's something that like that will hurt them in the long run, he pulls it back a little bit. He goes, okay, you know that was wrong. This is your consequence. You're getting pulled back from it. I'm going to pull the leash a little bit. But pretty much he lets them like roam free wherever they want, date who they want. They can, just. I think Jaden wanted to be a different religion or whatever. They're both okay with it because that's him choosing his path at that point. But they waited until they were older to do those things. Yeah. They like I don't think they started that until like maybe Willow was like maybe 13 or 14 years old, which made Jaden like a couple years older. So the fact that he gave them that freedom at that age, which I think was very awesome, very responsible, because a lot of them were making very responsible decisions. Beside Willow,
because
what she
they've
had
been
to do.
around enough to see some stuff
Yeah.
and know some stuff.
Exactly. And it's like, especially them being, one comment that he made was, he said, my children growing up in this type of environment, in Hollywood, in these types of places, I can't protect them from everything. So it's only up to them to make those good decisions for themselves at a certain point. So he says, as a father, I'm going to try to protect them from as much as I can, but I'm not going to exactly
kid myself and think that I can protect them from everything.
Exactly. They have access to everything, especially like being celebrities.
And having the amount of money that you have.
You can get anything you want.
Yeah.
Any type of drug, any type of drink, any type of person, you can get it. And I think it's the fact that they have that freedom and they haven't gone wild. It's like a perfect example of being able to let your kids choose for themselves, but after you've given them some direction. So, yeah. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
It was a great interview. You should look it up. You guys should look it up. It's a great interview. Happened a while ago, but it's really good.
I like that. Yeah. That's cool.
Their family show.
Can 4-year-olds read yet?
Yeah. It's like, especially nowadays.
Yeah, because nowadays. I don't know when I started reading.
But remember, it's different. Because, like, I remember when I said when I have kids, they're going to be hooked on phonics.
I hate you.
And, like, now. But now it's like, all these kids read when they're 1 year old coming out the womb reading. So it's like, yeah, they can read. They good.
I think it's because of requirements and like, we're trying to catch up with other countries right now.
True.
And like,
nobody can compete with China. Let that go.
We've been like trying to raise the requirements in education towards like your kids got to be able to do this, and this by the time you get to first grade. And I remember like when we were younger, it's just like you got the first grade, you know how to like write your name.
But no, you know what blows me with these kids now? How they're taking out the regular clocks and now everything's digital because it's too hard for them to be able to read.
I know.
I was like, bro, what? I had to learn that. And then y'all taking out the pacer test. Bro, I had to do that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And
that
then y'all can't do cursive
mad.
no more. Bro, I had to learn cursive twice.
Let me tell you something about cursive. Me and cursive got beef.
Same.
Because all through elementary school, from 2nd to 5th grade, I had a class, like an actual handwriting class. Like, you know how you have, like, on your report card, you have, like, history and math. Handwriting was a class. I got straight A's all of those years, with the exception of handwriting. Handwriting was the only class
they actually graded you
from 2nd grade to 5th grade that I got a B on.
What?
And now you're telling me that kids don't even have to know how to do this? I don't even write anymore. Everything I do is typed.
Yeah.
I could have had straight A's from 2nd to 5th grade. I'm below.
My thing is, like, since I work in, like, an animal hospital, all the doctors sign all their stuff in cursive. So I'm like,
This chicken scratch ain't
so I'm like, okay, look, so doctors write that. Okay, look, I want to be one, and yes, my handwriting is crap. But look, I still have to sign something.
Yeah.
So my thing is, so what do y'all sign? What do y'all sign? Like just straight print? Like what do y'all
do?
That's crazy to me.
I had to do a whole book report in cursive. When I was in the 5th grade.
I did too.
Book report, and it took me. I cried because the book report was like, I think I wrote a 9 to 10 page book report, and it was front and back. And I was just writing in cursive.
What did you write about?
And my hand was hurting. It was about like it was like a little boy and he was like a fox, or he his spirit animal was a fox or something. But it was like the longest thing I've ever written in elementary school, and it was all in cursive. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. My hands was hurting. I had to sit at the table late nights. My grandma was like, write that paper. I was like, my hands were cramping. I was like, oh. I tried to write my left hand. I was like, not ambidextrous, and go back. So it's just like, I think it's crazy.
But you was struggling. I had to learn cursive twice, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's crazy to have to do all that and then not have to do it at all. But, yeah, this whole Theybies thing.
I think it's quite ridiculous. Like I said, only in America will we be having this conversation.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
So,
I'm asleep.
It's just like, when I was watching it, like first I told you, like I wanted it to be a joke at the end. I was waiting for like the ha 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 thing at the end. It was never a joke. And then I tried to watch it again, and I really tried to understand, because my biggest thing, like when people like talk about these things and they're trying to get like their perspective, I really try to listen to them and really try to understand to get their point of view, because I know they thought about this, and I know they thought this was crazy too, but they found something in it that made sense, and I was trying to find that something. Couldn't find that something.
You're a little engineer.
I think it would make sense if the age wasn't 4, maybe.
Yeah, but like, yeah.
I could like slightly rock with it if it wasn't 4.
And like, one thing that I did notice that a lot of the comments were from like people who are heavily religious, because people who are heavily religious are already against people like not being the gender they were assigned at birth anyway. So like that's a whole another thing in itself of like people not agreeing with it because of like if you're a man, you're a man. If you're a boy, if you're a girl, you're a girl. Or a woman, if you're a woman. So it's just like that's just how it's supposed to be. But that's a whole another conversation. But a lot of the comments were centered around that. But then you have so many more centered around like what we're talking about, basically saying how can they choose at 4? Like why is 4 the age? And then like even like 6. Why would 6 be the age if that was the next age? Like what type of research, what type of evidence do you have
that shows what age you're ready to make that decision?
Like what age? Because it's just like at 18 you can't even make the decision to drink, and but you can have the decision of having a baby. Yeah, you can have a baby. So it's like you can have the option of taking care of someone else, but you can't take care of yourself and drink. And then it's like the whole thing where it's just like renting cars when you can't do it until you're like 25, and you can't drink until you're 21. It's just like all these different things. Just like we can't make these decisions up into these ages, but we can make the decisions of who we are at this young age. And I think the way that like America is set up, the way that we are all set up, things are just like so like intertwined and like go back and forth, and it doesn't make any type of sense. It's not consistent. Yeah, nothing makes sense. And like one thing I noticed with other countries, like everything that they do is like very consistent. Like if they're inconsistent with like a certain community, it's not going to be an exception here, an exception there. It's all across the board. If they don't agree with a certain type of way for mothers to birth, it's going to be the same all across the board. If they don't believe that birth control should be a thing, it's going to be the same all across. Like, it's not going to be like half the government saying, yeah, we're going to do birth control, and the other half like, no, we don't need it, it's useless. So it's just like, it's crazy how like the United States is just so like
all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think that's almost like the beauty.
Yeah.
And I use that term loosely of this country is that everything isn't the same. Because imagine if everything was the same and they decided that like all women had to do like something that we didn't want to do. Yeah, then it's like you don't have a choice. The whole reason why people came to America was to get away. Yeah, so they could choose what they wanted to do. I think the issue is that we are not getting out and electing the people that speak for the things that we want. So we're letting people that don't feel the same way that we feel speaking for us.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue comes in.
I was going to say something. I think I just lost my thought. It's something around I was going to say something around how we want something in the terms of like a change within like equality or different things like this, and like people come here so they can have a choice, but then kind of like what you said, they put people in office that like kind of take that choice away from us to where we're not able to make those different choices. So it's kind of like pointless to a certain extent to come here, because it's just like you come here to make choices and to have a choice, but you don't really have a choice at the end of the day because they try to take those choices away from you. Land of the free.
Yeah.
Love how you said it.
Land of the free.
Yeah. You good?
This whole thing. When I just said land of the three, it just brought up some stuff. So.
Okay.
But okay. All right, guys. Well, this is
interesting.
I think this is probably one of the most interesting weird talks that we've had on here so far.
Yeah.
And if you guys noticed at the beginning of the video, like I kind of kept the same tone, the same phase throughout the whole thing because this whole topic is just very, very interesting. And I just wanted to, just give it to you straight.
I would be very curious to know if there's anybody else that agrees with this woman and disagrees with anything that we have said. Because I'd love to hear from the other perspective. Because maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm tripping.
I would apologize if we offended you.
I
but
really
like,
want to
I'm
understand.
sorry.
I really do want to understand.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone could, like, help me understand, I would love that.
Shed some light on this topic because we're confused.
Yeah. And while you're down there, like and subscribe.
And, yeah.
Like how you did it.
Oh, she did already, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, comment down below.
Yeah.
But have a great day, guys.
See ya.
Bye.